Reddit, what's your craziest I can explain moment? A friend once popped the trunk of his car, revealing a naked man, and the explanation was relatively reasonable. I was shooting a movie with some friends and one scene was the couple in bed having an argument. They filmed at my home and we were gonna do a few more takes later and the team decided to leave the equipment at my house. I go on a date with a girl and everything is well and good and she gets brought back to my place. Things get serious and we head to the bedroom where she is greeted with camera equipment aimed at the bed. She is creeped out and I explained. She wasn't that understanding. I was in a similar position. A girl was looking for the bathroom and accidentally opened the closet door. A dead hooker fell onto the floor. I had to explain for about 2 hours that I only killed hookers and she was perfectly safe with me. I had just put air ride on my truck and was taking it on its maiden voyage. I forgot to tuck a brake line and had been unknowingly dragging through it. All of a sudden it decides to let loose right as I'm stopping at a stop sign. I'm halfway through the intersection with no brakes when I see a cop sitting waiting to bust people for blowing through. He pulls me over and I try to explain. He clearly doesn't believe me so he asks me to press my brake pedal. Boom. Brake fluid squirted right onto his shoe. No ticket. Was reading an interview Stephen Colbert did with Playboy on their website. Someone walked past. Did a double take. And asked if I was really looking at the Playboy website. Had to explain that. Despite all the jokes that have ever been made throughout the history of Playboy, I actually was reading it for the articles. A phrase I never ever anticipated uttering in real life. I used the Playboy interview with Steve Jobs in a paper last year. It was decidedly relevant. But I thought it out just so that I could say that I cited Playboy in an academic context. Once opened my front door to 2 Jehovah's Witnesses, which in turn opened to a bedroom with what looked like 6 naked men in a giant bed together. They ran off down the street before my hungover brain could figure out why they were freaked out. We were just hungover and watching crappy cartoons on my projector. Just straight equally hungover men watching cartoons topless in bed together. 0. I got real drunk with my girlfriend and her mate one Saturday night. They convinced me to wear a dress and then when I passed out in a chair in the living room they covered me in makeup. Lipstick. Blush. Mascara. The works. I looked like a transvestite clown. So I wake up in the chair 9 AM Sunday with a jolt as someone is knocking loudly at the door. Still half drunk I open the door to 2 Mormons. They look at me shocked. Stammer we've got the wrong house and leave. Took me a few secs to realize what I looked like to them. I have a handheld electric nail file. It's really, well, DLDO shaped. I had some friends over for a sleepover one night and my friend pulls it out and gives me this look of abject horror. I don't think she believed me when I told her it's just a nail file. I didn't realize filing your nails had become so arduous someone had invented an electric nail file. One time I had to explain to my mother why I browsing a website that straight up admitted in the URL to containing questionable content. It was, of course, a webcomic questionable content. Close bracket. Of course. There's always the time in the 6th grade some dipshitty got some nonsensical virus on all the computers in a certain lab at school and I got to explain to my teacher why there was a barely legal young woman getting serious double penetration action on my screen instead of my language arts practice. That'd be the time I follow too many links, using my phone, which end up linking to a gay orgy vid. I closed the browser right away. Decided I had to have enough internet for the day. Next morning I try to show us something on Reddit to my bro. And yeah, gay PRN starts playing. That was a difficult conversion. Open door to my office. I'm wearing a football helmet and standing on the couch. Explanation. The floor was lava. I was recently walking home. And saw a bunch of bird crap on the sidewalk in front of me. I heard birds in the trees above. So I decided to walk around the drop zone. Which put me in the street. As I stepped into the street, I noticed a mid to late 20s black gentleman walking the opposite way on the sidewalk. I have never received a look of disgust that great at any other time in my life. When I was an intern, I'm a doctor, I examined an admittedly ridiculously hot girl who was having palpitations. I took out my stethoscope and listened to her heart under her hospital gown. I clumsily and very accidentally, while holding the stethoscope, brushed her nipple with my hand and her heart starts beating faster and the alarm of the heart monitor starts going off. In comes the nurse to see what's happening and there I am with my hand under her top and both of us are blushing like mad and me looking very, very guilty. First. Some background info. I live in Pennsylvania and you're allowed to, and usually have to, pump your own gas. Wait. What? There's places where you're not allowed to do that? New Jersey is a strange place. Worked at a bike shop and one day a man in a wheelchair comes in to get a flat fixed on his chair. I put a new tube in and rang him up. He was quite pleased with how low the price was. I told him, yeah, any other shop in town would have probably charged you an arm and a leg. The guy was missing an arm and a leg. Could have heard a pin drop. Mom caught me smoking when I was 18. After a lifetime of telling me the evils of cigarettes. She walked into my apartment and saw one in my mouth. Of course. Seeing as how it wasn't tobacco. And I was high as a kite. The first thing that came to mind was also the first thing to come out of my mouth. It's okay, Mom. It's a joint. So my mom decided to borrow my laptop without telling me once. And when she opened it at work she found a folder full of animal, granny, BBW, and pregnant woman PRN. Explanation. It wasn't an actual folder. It was an image of a screenshot that I had taken. I was borrowing internet from a neighbor who had his entire computer on a shared network. For some reason, being the nosy teenager I was, I browsed his files and found the creepiest stash of PRN I had never even heard of. I couldn't stop laughing. So I took a screenshot, just of the file names, pasted into a Paint file and saved it. However, I didn't close out of the Paint file before I shut my laptop. My mother knows nothing about computers. And I never expected her to randomly take mine to work. So when that was the first thing she saw as she opened my computer, she freaked out. My friend, who is a film student, tends to make about 1-3 short films every summer when he's home from college. I usually help him out. He doesn't have a printer at his house. So it's always been my job to print out 1 or 2 scripts to do a read through with him and the actors. One of his shorts was about a closeted lesbian who was in love with her best friend. The last page of the script involved a passionate kiss and then some screaming. And, of course, when I was stapling them, one of those pages fell to the ground. My mother, who has always suspected me of being a lesbian, found it and assumed I had written it. She absolutely wouldn't believe me when I said it belonged to my friend. The leader of the local Girl Scout troop belonged to the same pool as my family. One day I went to pick up my daughter from her scout meeting with a few of the other mothers I didn't know, as well as most of the Girl Scouts all paying attention to me since I had just walked in. The leader exclaimed, once she figured out who I was there to pick up, "I didn't recognize you with your clothes on." The look on the faces of the other mothers was priceless. Someone invited me to follow some cabaret thing on Facebook. So I did. Later, I was checking updates in front of some friends. And bam. Gay stripping. I have a friend who was once stopped while driving a white van down the motorway. The cop asked to see what was inside. There were about 20 ounces of crack, weed, heroin, crystal meth etc. 6 pistols, a sawn-off shotgun, a rifle, a box of ammo, a box full of knives as well as a human head, 2 feet and a hand. My friend waited for the look on the cop's face before saying it's okay. I have paperwork. He works for a forensics lab. One time I went to a festival with my friends. Summer between junior and senior years of high school. When we returned to the car to go home, We found a dime baggie of crack rocks on the ground. We didn't want to smoke it, so we took it home. And I kept it in a stash box in my room. A few months later, I come home from a party much more wasted than I should have been to drive home. It's late, but all the lights are on in my house. My parents are awake. I walk in and they are seated in the family room, watching TV, being drunk. I try to treat the situation as a normal one. It's 2 a.m. They go to bed at 11. My dad says, "I was looking in your room today and I found this." And my dad holds up the bag of crack I had forgotten about. "What is it?" I shrugged and said, "It's crack cocaine." In my best Jerry Blank impression. My mom says, "We know what it is. Where did you get it?" Her voice getting louder. I looked stunned for a second. "I found it on the ground." When I was 12 years old. My little sister was 1. I was getting her ready for her bath one day when I had the overwhelming desire to bite her. As in OMG rescute, I just want to bite you. Full stop. So I tried to bite her butt through her diaper but accidentally chomped right down on her butt cheek. She cried and there were teeth marks on her butt, so I became worried that my parents would think I was some sort of weirdo perv sociopath. They came in to find out why she was crying, and when I explained they didn't even get mad. They totally understood my need to bite her. She really was that cute. Question mark. The bath salts are supposed to go in the bath. One of my friends was a roommate with his brother. He just finished taking a shower. He was in his towel and his other brother was in his about to take a shower of his own. My friend decided to eat some chips and started choking. His brother did the Heimlich, and just before my friend's girlfriend walked in, the 2 towels dropped. As a teacher assistant, I face the classroom a lot. I spaced out one time and then a minute or so later, I realized I was looking up a girl's skirt. I had no idea. I swear. And she caught me. That username isn't helping you. Why don't you take a seat over there? Be doing my dissertation few years back. Walk to university and it rains on me. Alert. Get into computer lab. I'm the only one there. Check sign-in sheet. I am only one who has it booked out for the next 2 hours. Go in lab and lock the door. Take my soaking jeans off and put them on radiator. Start working. Half an hour later the door handle is rattling. I think I'm safe because it's locked. Hear door unlocking, rush to my jeans. Supervisor sees me with one leg in my jeans. Looks like I've been fapping to a spreadsheet. Wait, I can explain. TLDR. Be on Reddit, not 4chan.